I, not what his professors said. He was in a class of just older men.
And while he was going for his captain's license, was he still in school?
Yes.
Was he planning to go to college in the fall of 2014?
Yes.
And what were his plans?
To take business at Fitchburg State.
And what was the reason that he was interested in business?
To run his father's company someday.
And so he continued, even though he was graduating high school, to have he knew that were there.
Yes.
Who was that?
His best friend, Tom.
What was Tom's last name?
Gamble.
How did he know Tom Gamble?
He's been friends with him since they were young.
Did they play baseball together?
Yes.
Are you still married to Conrad Jr.?
No.
When did you divorce him?
About 6 years ago.
So sometime in the time frame of 2011, 2012?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And at that time when you were divorced, what were the living arrangements? Where were you living and where were the children living?
At the time of our divorce,
Yes.
we were living together and we were getting separated.
So at the time, how old would Conrad have been when you were
16.
Did you notice any change in Conrad at age 16 when you and your husband then were talking about divorce?
Yes, he was sad about it, like most children, from a product of divorce.
And when you say he was sad, did he do anything to harm himself or say he was going to do anything to harm himself because of that?
No.
Did he continue to go to school and do the activities that he normally would do?
Yes.
At some point, did you move out of the familial home?
Yes.
And where was that? What was the location that the family was living at prior to?
Mattapoisett.
What was the address?
3 Perkins Lane.
And so when there was a break, where did you go to live or where did your husband go to live?
I rented a house in Marion.
And what was the arrangement with your ex-husband with regards to the children?
We have joint custody.
So would the children spend half the time with you and half the time with their father?
Correct.
Did you notice any change in Conrad with that arrangement?
He had a bit of anxiety. He had trouble sleeping.
And was that something that he had prior to the divorce, or was that something that you saw that was exasperated by the divorce?
It was exasperated.
And as a result of seeing that, did you do something to try to help him with that?
Yes.
And I want to take a step back. Are you employed?
Yes.
What type of work do you do?
I'm a nurse.
And how long have you been a nurse?
Over 10 years.
Getting back to the original question, what did you do when you noticed that there was some anxiety and some sleeping issues with Conrad?
I went to a Boston Children's Hospital 2011 September with my ex-husband's aunt, Barbara.
And why did you elect to go there?
Because she was familiar with the hospital.
And the aunt, Barbara, was she in the medical or the...
Yes, she's a nurse.
Okay. And at the time when you went in September of 2011, what was the result?
They put him in a Bournewood partial hospitalization.
And do you recall where Bournewood Hospital was?
It's in Brookline, Mass.
Was that an inpatient thing or something he would go in and come home?
Yeah, it was a partial day program.
Okay, so it wasn't anything where he had to stay overnight? Do you know whether or not he was prescribed any medication at that time?
No, I believe he wasn't taking anything.
And when he was in that partial day program, did you see any improvement?
Yes.
And was he in school at that time?
He was at Rochester.
And what year would he have been in?
I believe a sophomore.
Okay. At some point, did you change him from Old Rochester to a different school?
Yes.
And what school did he then go to?
Bishop Stang.
What was the reason for the change?
I just thought because it was a smaller school and spiritual, it would help. It would just be better for him.
And when the smallest school would have been Bishop Stang?
Yes,
Did he actually attend there?
yes,
How long did he attend there?
for a few weeks.
And was he exhibiting any signs while he was there that concerned you?
Yes.
What was that?
He just didn't feel well around others. He had social anxiety.
And social anxiety, you said you're a nurse. Could you tell us what that means?
I suppose the way I'm feeling right now, talking in front of others, he had trouble talking in front of other people about his thoughts, feelings.
Did you consider him to be kind of a reserved and quiet boy?
Yes, absolutely.
And after those few weeks at Bishop Stang, what did he do next?
We decided that he would work with his father full-time for at least the rest of the year.
So he took the rest of the year off?
Yes.
And this would be his sophomore year in high school?
Yes.
And how was he feeling? What was his reaction when he learned that he was going to be working with his dad?
He was looking forward to it.
And
Roy, just for my clarification, what year are we talking about now when you went to Stang and went to work for his father?
What year?
Yes, ma'am.
It was 2011.
2011. Okay,
Yes.
thank you. I'm sorry, Kyle.
no problem. So from the school year of 2011 until the school year of 2012, he would have been working with his dad.
Yes.
And how often would he go to work with his dad?
Every day.
And when he was working with his dad, would he also stay at his father's house on occasion as well?
Yes.
Where was his bedroom?
He had his own bedroom
Where?
at his dad's house.
And what about at your house?
Yeah, he had his own bedroom.
So he had a bedroom at both parents' homes.
Yes.
Did he ever go to Florida?
Yes.
And do you recall what year he went to Florida?
I believe it was 2012
Okay. And where specifically did he go?
to Naples, Florida.
Did you go on the trip?
No, I did not.
Who went?
He went with his father and his sisters and Carolyn.
Okay. And Carolyn was your ex-husband's girlfriend?
Yes.
Now, do you know, what was the reason that your ex-husband and the kids were going to
They
Florida?
were visiting his aunt that lives in Naples, Florida.
So Conrad's father's aunt lived in Naples, Florida, and was it a vacation?
Yeah, she lives there from December to April.
Did you, after that, after February of 2012, did you come to know that Conrad had met somebody down in Florida?
I heard that he met someone.
And who did you hear that from?
His sister, Camden,
Okay. And what was the name of the person?
Michelle
Did you know her last name?
Cotter.
And was that the first time you'd ever heard that name?
Yes.
Had you ever spoken to her at that time frame?
No.
Did you hear much about Michelle Carter in 2012 or 2013?
No.
Did you know if Conrad had a girlfriend during that time period?
He did have a girlfriend, but it was not her.
Who was it?
Catherine
And do you know Catherine's last name?
Ball.
And when would that relationship have been?
2014, 2013, 2014.
Did he have,
And he had other relationships before. I just,
Okay. Did he have, in the time frame of 2012, did he have someone that he had met in Michigan?
yes,
And who was that?
I don't remember her name.
Okay. And was that a person that he would actually see?
No.
And what was the nature of their relationship, if you know?
I just know that he met her online or
Okay.
somehow.
Did he have any plans, if you know, to go visit her?
He was. I talked to her dad on the phone that one night for a while.
And when was
We
he,
just-
when was he going to visit her?
It was summer of 2012.
Okay. And did those plans fall through?
Yes.
Why?
Well, her dad and I both discussed that it was, she had issues with an eating disorder, and we both agreed that it would probably not be best that they work together. Or
And was Conrad upset about that?
he was a little, yeah, he was a little let down.
So, in your knowledge, did he ever meet this person from Michigan?
No.
Did you observe a change in him after that breakup in September of 2012, or summer of 2012?
Not so much.
Okay. So now, it's September of 2012, the start of his junior year, was he going to school?
He was taking computer classes,
Okay. And this was at what school now?
Old Rochester.
Now, when you say he was taking computer classes, what was the reason that he wasn't enrolled full-time?
I believe he started back up full-time, and then he started getting anxious in the classroom. So,
And again, is it social anxiety?
Mhm.
Do you recall whether or not in September of 2012 he was on any medications?
no,
Do you recall whether or not he was either seeing someone for counseling or therapy?
yes.
And do you recall who that was?
There was different doctors. I know he saw a Dr. Schwartz at one point. I can't recall the other names.
Was he playing sports during that time?
Yes.
What was he doing?
He was playing baseball.
Did he also enjoy rowing?
Yes.
When did he start up with rowing?
I'm not certain on the date,
Okay.
but I believe it was introduced to him around the time that his father was with his girlfriend.
Okay.
So,
And at that time, in 2013, was he still living part-time with you and part-time with his dad?
yes,
Where primarily was he staying?
in 2013, with both of us,
Okay. Was he still working with his dad?
yes.
Now, that fall in October, midpoint of October of 2012, did he have any reoccurring issues with either depression or social anxiety that you became aware of?
I'm sorry, when?
October of 2012.
Yes.
And what do you recall about that?
I just remember him feeling really down and having these racing thoughts. I believe it was September 2012. He went to the ER.
And can you tell us about that? How did you find out that did you bring him to the ER?
His dad. I brought him on October 3rd,
Okay.
2012.
When you're talking previous that
But
September?
yeah, before that, he
Okay.
went into the hospital, I believe.
I'm just going to ask you to keep your voice up nice and loud for us. So you said that you brought him to either a hospital in October of 2012?
October 3rd,
And which hospital did you bring him to?
St. Luke's,
And what was the reason for that?
because he was having suicidal thoughts.
And did he say that to you?
Yes.
What did he tell you?
Having these racing thoughts, they're not good thoughts, they're bad thoughts. So,
And after he told you about that, you sought help for him.
of course,
And he went with you? Was he then, after you brought him to the hospital, was he then, did he go back to Bournemouth?
no, he was, then he was at Arbor Fuller.
Okay.
That was his first inpatient hospitalization
And do you recall where Arbor Fuller was?
in Attleboro,
Okay. And how long did he stay at Arbor Fuller?
about a week.
And did you visit him during that time?
Yes.
And how would you describe, did his demeanor change or his outlook change while he was at Arbor Fuller?
He seemed like he was getting better treatment.
Okay. And did he get prescribed any medications that you know of at Arbor Fuller?
I don't recall.
And after he stayed that week, did he go back to resume his schoolwork?
He did, but then he had another incident. It was maybe 10 days after, and his father brought him to Toby ER, and then that's when he was admitted to Bournemouth. That was his first inpatient hospitalization at Bournemouth
Okay.
in Brookline.
And this would have been around October 27th of 2012?
Yes.
And when you said his first attempt, what do you mean by that?
That was his first inpatient at Bournemouth, 2012.
And he had first gone to Toby Hospital?
Yes.
And what was the reason that he went, why did he need to go to Toby Hospital?
His father brought him. He wasn't feeling well.
And I know it's very hard to ask you to pinpoint specific dates, but I'm going to ask you if you recall either receiving some information on October 27th, 2012, about Conrad and the emergency 911 being called.
Okay,
Do you recall that?
yes.
What do you recall? Where were you when you received some information about that?
I was in my car.
Okay. Where was he staying on that day, the 26th of October?
He was at his dad's house.
And who did you get a call from?
The EMT.
Had you gotten a
Police
call from
officer.
anybody in your family before that? Your mom or anybody?
My mom did say that she saw him at Walmart getting.
Sorry, Mom said what, please?
She saw him earlier at Walmart,
Okay.
but this was after I got the call.
Okay. So when you're driving, you get a call and it's EMTs?
Yes.
Tell us what happened.
They said that they found him there, and it looked like he took some substance, I don't know, Tylenol or something. So I got there right away
When you say there, where did you go?
to Perkins Lane.
When you arrived at Perkins Lane, did you see any emergency apparatus, any ambulances?
The EMTs were there.
Where was your son?
He was sitting on the chair. They told me that he had just thrown up and it was just all red. They asked if I would want him to be treated, and I said absolutely. And he was sent to Toby Hospital.
And did Conrad agree to go to Toby Hospital?
Oh, yes.
And from Toby Hospital, was he transferred somewhere else?
Yes.
Where did he go?
Children's Hospital.
What was the reason that he needed to be transferred to Children's?
Because his acetaminophen levels were so high.
And would that be as a result of ingesting Tylenol?
Yes.
Did you talk to him about that? Why he did that?
Of course I did.
What did he say?
He just didn't know. He couldn't really answer. He just wasn't feeling well, and he said he was sorry.
Did you find out that he had told somebody that he had done that?
Yes.
And what did you learn about that?
That
Just staying,
person
You don't have
called.
to answer the question.
you can ask, wait for another question, please.
Okay.
When he was transferred to Boston Children's Hospital, how long did he stay there?
For about 4 days.
Did you visit him? What was his demeanor like when he was at Boston Children's?
He was scared. He told me he would never do that again to me.
Did he mind staying in the hospital setting?
Of course he did. He didn't like it at all. He thought he didn't like being like different like that. He knew that he had a lot of family and support, friends, people that loved him. He knew that he had a great future ahead of him, but he just could not stop these thoughts in his head, and it was making him so depressed.
Did he think that the hospital settings and these inpatients helped him?
For a little bit, but long term, no.
When he was released from Boston Children's Hospital, did he go back into another stay at Bournemouth?
Yes.
And this would be, is it the same, let me ask you this, when he first went to Bournemouth, what division was he in? Do they have different divisions there?
He was with the children the first time, and then the psychiatrist thought he was developing relationships with the younger kids, so they put him in with strictly adults, and he was 17 at the time. So,
And this would have been October 30th into November of 2012?
around that time, yes.
And what was his reaction when he was now placed with older people in that setting?
Conrad was very laid back. He never complained. He just took whatever was given to him, so he really didn't complain much. He did the best he could. He was still having trouble sleeping. I demanded that the psychiatrist sit with him for a while, and that's when he was put on Seroquel.
That was the first time he was put on Seroquel? Do you know if he was put on any other medication at that time?
I believe trazodone also. And possibly Celexa.
And the trazodone, what would that be prescribed for?
Sleep.
And the Celexa?
The Celexa for his depression.
Do you know whether or not he was compliant in taking his medications?
He was.
And when he was discharged in November of 2012 from his second stay in Bournemouth, did he once again resume going to school?
When he got released that time?
Yes.
Yes.
And where did he go at that point?
He went to Old Rochester.
And was there something called a gateway program where they could work part-time and go to school?
Yeah,
Did he
that's
do
what
that?
he did.
So what was his schedule like?
I'm not positive his schedule. I can't recall
Okay.
the days that he was at school and working with Dad.
And did he ever express any concern with you about not wanting to go work with his dad?
No.
Do you know if he was continuing counseling in that time frame, November into January of 2013?
He was seeing a counselor in Mattapoisett. I'm not certain on the dates.
Keeping the time focused on January of 2013 now, up until that point, had you ever heard the name Michelle Carter other than the time when the girls came back from Florida?
I know that he went with Camden to her grandmother's funeral.
Do you recall what date that would have been?
No.
Did you ever see her around either your house or hear Conrad saying he was going to visit her?
Just, I think once he told me he used my car.
Did you consider that she was